grain grades of cutting time. And we had two, a team with good horses. Then we had a bay mare that was blind, and we used her just for raising a colt every year, you know. And anyway, Pa was getting the binder ready, the grain binder ready, greasing and everything. He says to me, get the horses ready, harness them up and everything, and get them ready to hook on the binder. And of course, that one mare that was blind, the colt was running loose all the time with her, you know, in the barn. And we had to catch the colt, you know, and run it across the driveway into a box stall. And while the horse was all working, the colt couldn't go along with it, you know, unless we were going on a wagon or something like that. The colt would run along, you know, with the team of horses. And when you even suck, you know, we had a chance. And anyway, we got the colt in and got it in the box stall, and we took the horses we had to take down to there was a spring, and it was a marsh all around it, but my dad had dug it out, you know, like about 5 feet deep, and it had about this much water in it. It was covered with the cover on top, and the drainage went along the side of the box. Anyway, we used to take a pail and dip the water out and put it into a water tank, you know, right there for the horses to drink out of, even the cattle. He had it fixed up so that it was all swamp, and what he did was he dug it out, and then he put the old flat logs from an old log barn, you know, in there for the walk on down to the water, and then the box was there, and it boxed in, and it was about 10 by 10, and the water was about that deep, and there you could bail it out and put it right in the water tank, you know. Anyway, just had to see horses down there by the water tank, and this mare was blind, and she was over on this further side, on this side, you know, and there was muck along the side of the box where the water was in, and this one doggone old Major was his name. He was kind of fussy. You couldn't put a bridle on him because he had they call it a fistula up here above his eye, you know, that would break open, and pus would come out, and then it would heal up and break up. Couldn't do anything with it. Veterinary tried to cut it open different times and put disinfectant in it, but it wouldn't work. But you had to keep the halter on him, and you'd just put a bit in his mouth, you know, slap it on here, because he wouldn't let it touch you. Anyway, we were down there and poured water in for the horses to drink on. They were there at 1, 2, and 3, you know. And the damn Maisie come over and he bit this mare right a hair, you know, and she jumped and took me right in that damn puddle along the side there, you know. My dad, he seen it happen. He was getting the grain binder ready. He was only about 100 feet away, and if it wouldn't have been for him, I'd have been drowned in the mud. But I was spitting up mud, you know, for 6 months afterwards.
Because the horse was beating on you.
Yeah, she got right on top of me, took me right in. I was underneath the doggone horse. She was trying to get out, you know, and my back was all bruised up from it. And I think that's where I got a lot of them damn spurs in my back from it. Well, we went across the English Channel on USS Manchester. Where the heck did we land on? Rouen, France, I think it was. Then we went up the west coast on the French train. They called them the 48. You know, they got that name from World War I when they hauled 8 horses on a car and 48 men.
40 F8. Either 40 people or 8 horses.
One or the other, I see. Mm.
When we went on, had big fish scales in it about 6 inches deep in the doggone car. They were open car, you know, box car.
And you said you started going west towards Normandy, or were you going east
We
towards?
were going north.
Okay, towards Dunkirk. And you told me once that a truck came and just threw uniforms at you?
Yeah, that was in there where we went through that. It was fatigues, it wasn't uniform.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Army fatigues.
And
Some were new and some were used. Some of them weren't even patched up. They had bullet holes in it from other soldiers, you know.
they
were
took
washed
them
up.
off other soldiers and
They
used them
cared to
again?
wash them up. They didn't throw them
Well, it
away.
was winter time and it was cold.
Yeah.
But you didn't have like wool jackets, just the cotton fatigues?
We didn't get anything until way the Red Cross sent these sweaters in there, hundreds of them, and they were they went over the top of your head and you had a place for your eyes and your nose and your mouth, and they come right down, and then they had a big flap that came down this far on the back and on the front.
They were sort of vests, weren't they? Without
They were.
sleeves?
We first got them when the shit winter was over, you know.
He had 2 or 3 of them wool sweaters at one time. I think I finally eventually gave them to St. Penny's or somewhere.
Wow.
'Cause they were
So you guys were very cold.
shrunk
Yeah.
up.
And what were you
That was the
telling?
coolest winter that they had on history over there, that winter. Three days and 3 nights.
Is that when the Panzers were going
Yeah,
right?
the shower, see, they didn't dare. They
Do you think that the Germans thought you were dead?
Well, that's why they run
No,
over them with their
We just hid, you know.
machines thinking they would kill them.
Yeah.
But they were deep enough in there and that, you know, they protected them.
And you got a bad frostbite from that, right?
Frostbite, yeah.
Yeah, on your hands or feet or?
That was most of my right leg. Because I and
That's why
Barry
ladies
Senger,
had so much trouble.
we were in
with
that the same foxhole, and there was just room enough for 2 of us to get in there.
Well, it was so
about-
little.
We had about 6.5 feet deep. We dug it all in one night.
Wow. Just for the 2 of you.
Yeah.
Where was Harry Sagan from?
We were Salem, Massachusetts.
Wow. Did he survive the war?
Yeah, he survived, yeah.
He did.
But anyway,
After you got out of those foxholes and you got deloused, what happened next? You all marched towards Remagen, right? To cross the Rhine? Or wasn't it at Remagen?
no, Remagen.
You told me there were pontoon bridges.
Yeah,
That
there was
the Army
across the
Corps-
Rhine River, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, that
Where was that at?
That was at Bad Gettysburg,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay, that's not too far from Remagen.
They call it Hodges Bridge. General Hodges was the first Army commander.
And they were pontoon bridges? And
Yeah.
what, the Germans bombed them out?
They 3 nights in a row they bombed them out, and they finally put up some balloons with cables so that they couldn't, the dive bombers couldn't come in there and get them, you know.
And then everybody was able to really cross the Rhine then?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that was the main traffic then across the Rhine River. It was the only way across,
Yeah,
because the bridge was bombed out, you know, the Remagen Bridge.
right, right. Huh.
That was the only bridge within 100 miles up or down on the Rhine.
And then you went on to Weimar?
Yeah,
Yeah. What happened in Weimar?
well, that was On my birthday, we were in Weimar. That's where I got that clock.
Tell us how you got the clock. What happened?
Well, there was in a hotel, or a house they called it, you know. House Smoked was the name of it. And it had been hit with a bomb. And there was a stairway going in down outside, you know, cement walks down underneath, and there was about 6 inches of rainwater in there, and there was 3 pigs in there that were starving. They were nothing but skin and bones. They should have been like about 30 or 40 pounds, you know. And old Senger says, let's butcher one of them. I said, shit, there ain't nothing to eat on them. You know, all ribs, you know. They were running around in that water, and the water just come way up to their bellies. And they were running around, you know, trying to get out and look for a place to hide.
That was pigs?
Little pigs, 3 of them was in there. They were about that long, and they stood about that high. About
Roast pork?
30 pounders, you know.
And you had to make a booby trap to protect that house.
Yeah, we slept in there that night, and we took a hand grenade by the door, you know. The other doors was all jammed shut, and there was 3 of us that slept in there that night. We took a string and tied it onto the door with a hand grenade, onto the pin, you know, and on the other side, anchored to the door. So in case anybody walked in there, they'd get blasted.
And they wanted you
was,
to protect it.
That was
didn't
the
they?
house that, there was a cuckoo clock in there too, you know, and we were in our sleeping bags, and the darn cuckoo clock was striking 10 o'clock, and old Pat Fleming, he got pissed off with his rifle, and he shot it off the wall.
Nobody got that for a souvenir.
We all told him that. We all told him, God damn it, anyway, you should have saved it. We could have sent it home, you know.
You could have had something.
Old Pat Fleming.
Where was Pat Fleming from?
Cuckoo, cuckoo, he went cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. The dust flew, he fell
That was
down.
the last straw.
Oh gosh.
Shot it with a carbine.
And you know, when I was living in Berlin and I went to visit Weimar, and I told them at the historical office that you were there and you had to protect the house Merkt, the guy at the Historical Society said he was, you know, in the German underground, you know, against the Nazis. And he said they probably wanted you to protect that house, that hotel of his, because he was a sympathizer with the Americans, you see. And he probably had, you know, information in there or something that we didn't want the Nazis to get to.